And we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Live and Let's Discuss, a 007 podcast. I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Noah.
And we're talking about Roger Moore's second outing as Bond in The Man with the Golden Gun, also Fleming's last Bond novel. Not his last Bond story, but his last Bond novel. Last one to be mostly done while he was alive.
Correct. Yeah, it was the last thing he had written, but the last thing published was the Octopussy short story collection. But that stuff was written before already.
Yes. So yeah, this is a weird one. The book, let's talk about the book first, because these two movies, with the exception of having a man with the golden gun named Scaramanga, who's a hitman, and Bond being in them, and the character of Mary Goodnight in name, these two stories have nothing else in common.
Nope. It's similar to Diamonds Are Forever.
Yes.
I think Live and Let Die was a closer adaptation in a way.
Yes, compared to this and Diamonds, yeah, absolutely. But we have hit this point where we aren't going to see a very close adaptation for a very long time.
Yeah.
When we get to like the short story stuff, that's a little different.
Yeah.
But like for novels, we're now into really doing, the Broccolis are doing their own thing with this. Well, let's get into it. So at the end of You Only Live Twice,
the book,
Bond goes off to Russia to figure out who he is. And in the beginning of The Man with the Golden Gun, Bond comes back to headquarters and tries to assassinate M because the Russians have brainwashed him. Which is a crazy scene. We get it from M's perspective, which is an interesting thing with this novel, is we get a lot of M character stuff in the beginning.
Yeah, we even finally learn his real name,
which is escaping me right now.
Admiral Sir Miles Messervy.
Okay.
That's it.
But M takes... there's a lot of talk on what to do with Bond once he's unbrainwashed. And M gives him a very dangerous assignment to hunt down Scaramanga, the man with the golden gun, who's a very dangerous hitman. And the British Secret Service wants him gone. Or they want Bond gone. Either or. So Bond goes to, oh gosh, where do they go? I think it's like Central America?
No, it's set in Jamaica.
It's in Jamaica. That's right. Okay. Jamaica once again, where Bond teams up with Felix a little bit, and Mary Goodnight comes back, and we haven't talked a lot about Mary Goodnight. So I'm trying to remember. Bond in the books has his own secretary. He actually goes through two of them, and I can't remember the name of the first one.
Her name was like Ponsonby or something.
Yeah, and she ends up getting married right around the time of, I think it's before Thunderball. And we're introduced to Mary Goodnight in the Blofeld trilogy.
I think she's introduced in Majesties, I think.
Okay. I wanted to say...
I think.
Yeah, it's in that trilogy we are introduced to Mary Goodnight. And
then she has a little, when Bond is thought to be dead and You Only Live Twice, she writes a little note at the end.
And, Mary Goodnight got transferred to Jamaica. And she becomes our Bond girl for this book. And Scaramanga and he's with a bunch of, they call them hoods, but they're a bunch of gangsters. And they're trying to like launder money and stuff. And Bond infiltrates them, similar to what he does in License to Kill.
In a way, yes.
in a way. And then there's a big old. The thing with Man with the Golden Gun, the book, it feels a little rushed because we don't get a lot of the Fleming detail after a certain point. Because Fleming wrote a story, but he would go back and write a lot of detail. And you don't get that in this book because he died.
Yeah, he died while writing it, which is a shame because I think this is a solid story, and I think it's a solid follow-up to
yes,
Blofeld trilogy.
It's a back to basics.
Yes, that's the thing, because the Blofeld trilogy was a really big event, kind of. I mean, all Bond stories basically are.
Yeah,
but this
it was
a little bit more smaller scale, because I
Mhm.
know some people complain, oh, after Blofeld we get Scaramanga, who in the novel is basically just, he would be like a henchman typically.
Yes, the thing with Scaramanga in the book is that he thinks he's all that, and he's not. He's really good. He's a really good shot with a pistol, but he thinks he's like this big kingpin, and he really, really isn't.
Mhm.
And yeah, and he has a big ego, and he's very he's kind of sensitive about it. Comes
Yeah.
from the circus.
Oh yeah, the backstory is the same in the movie, actually.
Yes, it is. And I couldn't remember the movie, and I was like, oh, that's the book. Although they take that theme to an extreme in the movie.
Hmm.
But yeah, not a lot to this book, except for we get Mary Goodnight again. It's the first time we really got a Bond girl that had been established in previous books.
Yeah, it was interesting. And I
Yeah.
mean, there is something to like about this. The end is a memorable thing,
Oh
because
yeah.
this is, really the end for James Bond, at least Ian Fleming's
Mhm.
original. And they wanted to make him Sir James Bond. And he declines. He's like, that sounds stupid. I don't want this. Which is a nice way to end it.
Yeah. But yeah, there isn't a whole lot to talk about with the Man with the Golden Gun book so much. We talked, the big thing is that Bond is back to basics.
Mhm. And a really strong opening, something very different that would be fun in a future movie
Yes,
if they do it right.
you would have to have an established Bond. I
Yes,
always
because
worry that someone that follows these Bond that does the Bond movies watches this podcast and just listens. It's like, oh, I'm gonna do that, and they do it in the worst way possible.
because I have heard people say, "Oh, imagine a new Bond comes in,
Mhm.
and basically they adapt the first part here, and that's how we are introduced to the new Bond." It would be a little bit, I don't know, it would be a bold move.
It would be a bad move. To me, you need to have that, and that's something I do like about the film is you have to look at it as this is Roger Moore's second movie. You can't do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Not established yet. I mean, this movie's interesting because this is the one where he's most Sean Connery in it.
Yes, that's something. The
Um,
kind of Roger Moore identity crisis where they had to figure out what his Bond truly is.
mhm.
And I think most people would agree they only really got it with the next one, Spy Who Loved Me.
Yes. And the thing with Man with the Golden Gun, it opens with a random goon. And
No. A
is it
recurring character.
is this Ricker?
This
Oh,
gangster, the actor, was in Diamonds Are Forever.
but he's not the same character.
He might be. He talks the
might-
same, he dresses the same.
Okay.
He might be the same. For anyone curious, he's the one talking to Connery after they throw, what's her name, Plenty O'Toole out of the window.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he's
So
that guy.
they have a little bit of a pistol duel in Scaramanga's funhouse.
Which is an interesting.
It's a cool way. This was one of the first Bond movies I saw as a kid, and I remembered that. But the one thing that weirds me out is why is there a wax statue of Bond?
I guess they talk about it a little bit. He idolizes him, like he's really like, oh, this Bond guy. It's
We're
pretty
the
awesome.
we're the same.
Yeah. He
Uh,
gives the typical villain speech. But I like the pre-titles because it's a good introduction to the villain character.
yes, and we don't have Bond in it, which is nice. It reminds me of From Russia with Love
Oh yeah,
a little
very
bit.
much so.
Um, but we get something that's a trope of Roger Moore's stuff to follow, which is Roger Moore's called into M's office. This is the first time we have Moore's Bond in the office.
Mhm.
This last movie, they had it at Bond's flat for some reason.
They wanted to change things up. That's also why they didn't have Q in it, I think.
Yeah. And, oh, this is the first time we get Q. We get Q in this.
Yeah.
We don't get a Bond watch.
No.
This may be the only Moore movie that doesn't have like a Bond watch with it,
Mm.
which is nice because the Bond watches are just get out of a plot hole sort of device. But anyway, we get something that is a staple for more films to come, which is Moore just knows everything. He has like a mind and like remembers facts about whatever character you ask him about.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, is a nice piece of comedy.
It is, and it's a distinctive thing that the other Bonds haven't had at this point.
Mhm.
But that's like the only like more trope that's really in this film. We have a more violent Bond and an angrier Bond.
Yes, I want to mention this. Everyone is angry in this. Like M is angry, Moneypenny seems angry, and it's weird. I don't know why. Maybe
It's
the actors were actually pissed because this was made like immediately after Live and Let Die. I don't
yeah,
know.
I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. Um and of course the big thing is Mary Goodnight's character is awful in this.
Yes.
She is the dumbest. She may be the dumbest Bond girl.
Yes. When people talk about Bond girls being nothing but eye candy and stupid bimbos, this is the character they talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we can have a good discussion about it. We have Bond girls with stupid names like Holly Goodhead, for example, but they
Pussy
have
galore.
yeah, but they have something to them.
Mm-hmm.
And Mary Goodnight in this, no, she's the
No.
blonde bimbo in a bikini.
And it's the most frustrating thing because the source material gives you a really in-depth character.
Yeah.
And they don't try to do that. They
I
the
mean,
only thing they do is that Bond and Goodnight know each other.
yeah, they keep that aspect for some reason.
But Bond hates her.
He hates everyone in this movie.
Yeah. Although we get some funny stuff because Bond's just an asshole throughout.
Yes.
Um
When he visits the guy who makes the bullets
oh
and
yeah.
pointing the gun at his crotch,
Mm-hmm.
that's good stuff.
That's
But
some
yeah,
dark stuff.
mhm.
That's some Connery level things.
Yeah, and that worked. But then you have stuff like him beating up what's her name?
Oh gosh, yeah. Scaramanga's mistress.
Anders? Something?
Yeah. Yes.
Andrea Anders? Something. Played by
And he
Maud
like
Adams in her first role.
yes,
First
because she will
return.
come back.
Mhm. And he beats her up, and it's extremely uncomfortable. And not like in a, oh, it's just shitty to see a man beat up a woman. No, because it's awesome with Sean Connery, because he can do that. That's his Bond. With Roger Moore, it's awkward. You can tell he doesn't like doing it.
No, and that was the
With
thing with Moore that I wanted to talk about. And this film is fascinating because Moore didn't like the Fleming character of Bond. He didn't like Fleming. He thought he was misogynistic, imperialistic weirdo. And that's why Moore's Bond in future films is more of a lover and not necessarily a fighter,
Mhm.
which is Sean Connery's words for it.
Yeah. And I mean, it works because it just fits better with Roger Moore.
Yeah. And further films down the line are going to utilize that better.
Mm-hmm.
The next film in particular um, cements that in my mind as a better, more film. This film, though, has some really good stuff in it. We have Christopher Lee as Scaramanga, who was Fleming's cousin.
Mm-hmm. And I think he was Fleming's choice for Dr. No.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's really interesting. He's a weird choice for Scaramanga, but he is probably him and Lafayette Coda are like the two iconic Moore Bond villains.
Definitely. I mean, they are the only really memorable ones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people say, "Oh, Christopher Walken," but we will get to that.
He's memorable because he's Christopher Walken, not because of I can't remember that character's name.
Yeah, and I mean the other villains in Moore's Run. It's not even that they are bad, because I think there are some pretty good ones in there, but they are just not as memorable.
No, they're not like Conrays. Where Conrays, you can pretty much identify all of them up until Diamonds Are Forever. And like Lazenby's one Blofeld is pretty iconic too. It's not till you get to more where you start getting villains that aren't as iconic. Or you get to Craig, and who was the villain of Quantum of Solace? I don't know.
Mark Forster.
He's the villain of the whole Bond franchise.
We got to talk about it. How does this movie stack up with the 4 elements?
Not a lot of water. Even though it's on an island, there's not a lot of water utilized.
We get some good stuff in the air with the airplane car.
Oh yeah, I love that as a kid.
Yeah,
we get some fire. Things blow up a little bit, but
oh yeah, with his laser, where they forgot to put in the special effects or they ran out of budget.
Yeah, that's peculiar.
But you know what they had enough budget for? Bringing back everyone's favorite character, the Jar Jar Binks of the Bond franchise, J.W. Pepper.
Oh god, he's a little better in this. There's not as much of it.
He's in like basically 2 scenes, basically.
2 scenes. We need to get to the karate. We have to talk about the karate fight.
Yeah, because Live and Let Die was blaxploitation for Bond. Mm-hmm. This is kung fu stuff for Bond.
But why?
Because it was popular at the time.
Yeah, but
they are still doing this today. Remember Endgame? Remember the daughter and the sacrifice, and then they died, and No Time to Die? Remember?
Oh.
Remember Logan?
Yeah.
Yeah. They still do it.
They still do. But like we had already had the martial arts one. You Only Live Twice was the ninja one.
Mm-hmm.
Before that was like a thing, really. But we have Bond tries to pretend to be Scaramanga.
Yeah, with a very convincing fake third nipple.
Yeah, that's a thing, that Scaramanga has the third nipple. Which looks so bizarre. And Bond gets led into a trap. He's like knocked out, and then like he shows up at a dojo. There's people fighting and killing one another.
Yeah, because the guy who's working with Scaramanga, I think he's called like High Fat. He says like, "Oh, I don't want him killed here. Bring him to school for some reason."
So we could have an action set piece.
Yeah, and then Bond's ally after the fight, like Bond's ally just drives away.
Well, I want to get to the funny joke where Bond kicks a dude in the face.
That's a good one.
That made me laugh like so hard. And then he fights another guy, and it's very apparent that Roger Moore cannot fight.
Oh, remember the first fight scene? I think it was
there's a fight scene in a belly dancer's dressing room.
Yeah, because he tries to get the bullet because it's evidence, and then they are fighting for some reason. And you can There's a great mistake. You can see the camera crew in the mirror.
Yes. And there's just people basically running into one another, and just it's bizarre.
Yeah, but Moore does get bloody. I think there's a little bit of blood coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, he gets punched in the face. He gets punched right in the mouth. But yeah, anyway. Then Moore fights this like black belt guy, and it's just awkward grappling and weird nonsense. And then he dives out a window, which is clearly a stunt double, diving out a window. And then his ally, that's like from the Hong Kong like Secret Service or whatever, has his nieces, and the nieces know kung fu, which I think they were actually like people from like Peking Opera, and did a lot of the Hong Kong films at the time.
I think one of them is kind of famous in that community. I'm not sure.
I think
But
so.
yeah.
I think I recognized her from like some Bruce Lee stuff from that, from like before that. So they leave Bond. They get in the car and they abandon Bond. And Bond, like, first of all, Roger Moore, something about him running in a gi is the funniest thing. He just looks ridiculous in this.
Yeah.
And then he gets in like a little boat, and he like, there's a boat chase, because we had a boat chase in the last one. Not as good of a boat chase.
No, definitely not. But what makes up for it is when he throws the little kid in the river.
Which is even funnier because Roger Moore became part of UNICEF, and he always felt guilty about that.
I mean, technically he doesn't have to, because he probably saved that kid's life because bad guys were after him.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
that's also the scene where J.W. Pepper appears.
And his wife.
And his wife, for the first time. A big reveal.
Yeah, that's like the biggest thing about this, even though this is J.W. Pepper's last film.
Yeah, sadly.
I'm shocked they didn't bring him in for No Time to Die.
Dig him up.
Just have a CG. You just do motion. If this was
instead of a portrait of Robert Brown, it should have been a portrait of J.W. Pepper on the wall.
God, so bad. Anyway, but we also have a car chase. Oh God, I haven't talked about the sex scene where Mary Goodnight gets shoved into a closet, and Noah is gone.
My internet is dying.
It is.
I'm still here, but my internet is dying.
Yeah, but anyway, Mary Goodnight gets shoved into a closet so that Bond can bang the other Bond girl, who then ends up being killed, like in the next scene.
Somehow. With like a shot through the neck or something.
In the chest.
Oh yeah, in a public space.
Yes.
And
Which doesn't make any sense.
Scaramanga is just that good.
He just is. And that's when Bond finally meets Scaramanga. And Mary Goodnight gets locked in the trunk.
Yeah.
For reasons. And then Bond has to go. Bond and J.W. Pepper end up in the same car. They have a car chase that ends with Scaramanga turning his car into an airplane car.
Yeah. J.W. Pepper has also the greatest line during this chase. He says, like, to Bond, "You're this English spy from England."
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just as awesome as the last time we've seen him.
We do have a good car stunt that has a freaking it's like when the car goes through the ramps, and it has the slide whistle which ruins the whole.
Yeah, because that stunt was done for real and it looks awesome.
Yeah, but we have a slide whistle.
And we have Pepper
screaming as he gets somehow flung into the back seat.
Yeah.
Which didn't make any sense. But Bond ends up going to Scaramanga's island.
Oh wait, before that, when Scaramanga takes off with the plane car, the last time we see J.W. Pepper in the series, he gets arrested by the police. And I'm gonna assume he just died in prison.
In a Hong Kong prison.
Yes.
But yeah,
And he
anyway,
just wanted to help Bond.
I know. Anyway, um, trying to remember here. Oh, so Bond and Scaramanga. Bond goes to Scaramanga's island. They end up dueling, and we have a repeat of the beginning of the film, only with Bond this time
In the funhouse.
in the
And
fun
with
house.
Scaramanga's henchman, Nicknack, doing all
Yes,
the
we haven't talked
stuff.
about Nicknack a whole lot.
We will talk about him in just a minute.
Yeah, um, but he has like a weird laser reactor for
The
some.
Solex, I think.
Yes, because there's a whole subplot that we've skipped over because it's not very interesting at all.
No, and it basically doesn't matter.
No. But he now has a laser and he blows up Bond's plane with it. And then they duel, which Bond wins. It's a pretty interesting little action set piece.
Yeah, but my problem is the same I have with basically all Guy Hamilton films. I don't like how it's directed.
Yeah, it's a little funky.
Mhm.
But yeah. Anyway, we Mary Goodnight ends up pushing a button with her butt and
The
causing
button
things.
butt?
Well, first of all, she pushes a dude into a reactor and starts causing the thing the whole place to blow up, and then she leans into a button with her butt. Oh, by the way, she's just been in a bikini this whole time, like not even wearing actual clothing, and she pushes the button with her butt and sets off a laser. I'm not sure if none of it makes any sense to me. Like, if I'm being honest, I couldn't figure out what was going on. I've seen this film a couple of times,
Yeah.
but like they end up escaping and they fight Nicknack, who's a little person.
Yeah, on Scaramanga's personal ship.
Yes, his junk, and they end up putting him in a suitcase, then in a cage. Just so wrong.
I
They
think it's
threw
awesome.
so many bottles at them. I
Yeah,
didn't realize how many bottles of like champagne and wine were thrown, and Bond was just breaking them. And there's literal glass going everywhere in the scene.
yeah. But the most important part is the ending. We have a little comedy moment with Moore and Goodnight and M, who's calling Scaramanga's personal ship. How he has the
Yes.
phone number of Scaramanga, I don't know.
I don't know.
That,
But we
that's
get the
so
first of the many Bond sex puns for an ending with "She's coming."
yeah. M wants to talk to her. Oh yeah, she's coming. And M is like, "Good night, good night, good night, sir."
Yes.
They had to
Which
make this joke.
they had to. This is the beginning of that. That's a trend for pretty much all the more Bond movies going forward.
Yeah, he's attempting re-entry, sir.
Yeah. The Margaret Thatcher call in from Your Eyes Only.
That might be the best one.
Bond, what are you doing? Keeping up the good end, sir.
Mhm.
Oh God, there's so many we get to talk about.
Yeah,
Which
but
are not these are I have to say these aren't a thing with any other Bond, really. Pierce Brosnan did a couple.
Mhm.
I think
Oh yeah, the Christmas one.
yes, that's the only one I really can think of.
I mean, he does end every movie with a lady, but not really with a pun most of the time.
Yes. Well, I mean,
Also,
Dalton was also the same way.
Mhm.
They're all like that except for Craig movies. Craig movies aren't usually.
He should have had a good pun before he got obliterated.
You should
Something
have
about the dodo.
He shouldn't. He should have had a good pun when Vespa drowned.
Quite breathtaking.
Oh, that's horrible. I love it. All right. Oh god. Okay. So overall,
We have
man,
to talk about more details.
we gotta talk more details.
Yeah, because there is stuff in here to mention. We have to talk about Nicknack a little bit more.
Oh yeah, he's French. He's a
He's a
little
chef.
person. He's a chef. He's basically the butler, a very murderous one, who runs like this computer program that runs the fun house. He runs like the control room, which I thought was neat because he's made for this movie. He's not from the book at all.
Yeah, but I think he's an interesting addition.
Yeah.
Am I frozen? Okay. And he has an interesting relationship with Scaramanga because he would be okay with Scaramanga dying because he would inherit all of his stuff.
Yes. Very cutthroat. Can we also talk about the random goon that's there for no reason?
Which one?
The one that's in the control is like guarding Mary Goodnight.
Oh yeah, that guy who tries to
Assault her and then she throws him into a reactor and he like melts in there.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that whole plot. So there's something they talk about the energy crisis.
Yes.
And Scaramanga has a plan, which is basically solar energy, kind of, and he wants to sell it, which I don't think is a villain plot even. Isn't that like a good thing?
Yeah, I mean, in these days, yeah, since we really are getting into solar, but he was going to control it or something. I don't know. It didn't make any sense. I think I said that earlier. It makes zero sense, and I don't know why, other than we needed to have a big action set piece where things blew up.
And I think it was something like, oh, we have to talk about contemporary things. Like the energy crisis is a thing right now. Let's put something about it in here. The villain needs a bigger plot. Because maybe they thought like, oh, a hitman wanting to kill Bond isn't enough of a plot. Maybe.
Yeah,
I think it's been enough.
know.
They even have a nice twist in here.
Yeah, but that's something I like about the book. The book ends with like a train. They get all the gangsters on the train. There's a big shootout on the train. We think that Mary Goodnight's tied to the tracks, and she's not.
Like it's a cartoon, a black and white cartoon.
Yeah. And then Bond and Scaramanga are like crawling around in the jungle because they're both injured. Yeah, that's it's much better than the movie.
Yeah, the way Scaramanga dies in the book is great.
Yeah. Not quite on the level of Dr. No's book ending, but nothing is. But yeah, I don't know.
Let's talk a little bit about, I think, what we skipped. The song, the soundtrack.
Oh yeah, not a lot of people like the Lulu song, but I like it.
I didn't like it at first.
Oh, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't like it at first, but it's kind of grown on me over time.
Yeah, I like the reprise of it a little more.
Oh yeah, at the end, which is a nice thing. I think they should have done this more. Kind of.
Yeah,
it works better here. Where in the opening, the song is about the villain, and at the end, it comes back in for the end credits, and now it's about James Bond.
Yes,
and I think that's a very nice little thing they did here.
It's the only time I think that's a thing, because the only one I really remember that happening, Moonraker has a disco remix at the end, in the end credits, which I don't care for either version of that song. It's Shirley Bassey's probably most boring. But yeah,
Did we talk about how this song was almost done by Alice Cooper?
no, I didn't know that actually.
Oh yeah, the song is actually on YouTube. I think, yeah, it is. I think it
What?
was something. Oh, it didn't make it in time, so they put the Lulu song in there. But yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting. That would have been a young Alice Cooper. That would have been the band Alice Cooper instead of the artist
mhm,
Alice Cooper. That's so weird.
yeah. I think I don't know about this movie. There is stuff in here I like. I think a problem is Roger Moore's performance in this, the way he's written. He's overshadowed by Christopher Lee in pretty much every scene
Well,
because
yeah.
Christopher Lee is really awesome here.
Well, Christopher Lee overshadows just about everyone.
True.
I mean, Attack the Clones. He outacts everyone in that movie.
And he has
Even
like 2 minutes of screen time.
oh yeah, maybe 10 minutes. And him and Mace Windu, Samuel L. Jackson, a great actor. Christopher Lee was just incredible. He was an incredible actor, very prolific actor.
Yeah.
Did a lot of garbage though.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm a big fan of him in Gremlins too, as Doctor Catheter. But yeah, gosh,
Let me think. Not that we miss anything with Man with
yeah,
Big. There is surprisingly little to talk about. With the book, we said pretty much everything because we don't really want. I guess
you
we
know
don't
what?
want to spoil the ending too much.
Yeah,
Kind of
not
this.
too much, but like we said, it was a back to basics book with a very shocking beginning and sort of a redemption for Bond from his from how he was and You Only Live Twice. He sort of is Bond again. It feels like how Bond is at the beginning of Live and Let Die. It feels like we've gotten there. And if there hadn't been a Bond book ever again, it would have been great. But I mean, I think Fleming meant to write more stories as Bond. Um, with the movie, it's a fine Moore movie. Um, it's not the best Bond movie in general, but I mean, it's one of the more iconic Moore Bond films, I think. But it's got some weird shit going on in it. Uh, your internet is
Yeah, pretty
hardcore.
bad Bond girl. I I know. Everything is lacking like crazy.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Anyway, do
Am I
you
still
have
alive?
you are still alive,
Can
but
I
bear.
give my yeah? Let me try while I'm still here. The movie is fine.
Mhm.
The movie is fine. It missed the dodo. It didn't deliver on all the four elements, but some good acting in here. A
Yes.
decent enough soundtrack.
Yes.
At least it's an upbeat song instead
Yeah.
of depressing mumbling.
Yeah, it's
And
not whiny mumblecore. That is true.
mhm. Some good action, a lot of nudity. I noticed on my rewatch, like
Yes,
extreme
there
for Bond.
was. Yes, there was a woman swimming naked and you got full bee cheek.
Yeah, we got Maud Adams showering with a gun. A lot of
Yeah,
stuff happens.
very sexual.
Yeah. So overall, I think what brings it down is just Moore's performance, the way it's filmed, because like I'm not a fan of Guy Hamilton's directing style simply, and the script, which we
Yes.
didn't mention. This is the third and final film in the Mankiewicz trilogy.
Oh,
The
is it?
guy, yeah, the guy who co-wrote Diamonds, Live and Let Die, and this one.
Mhm. Gosh. There
The
we
end
go.
of the low budget Bond.
Yes, because we're gonna get a big one next
Oh yeah.
with a Spy Who Loved Me, which that's gonna be a bizarre discussion when we do that.
Oh boy, we have to talk about 2 books and the film.
Yeah, and we have to do that twice in a row
Why?
because we got Moonraker. And
Oh
Moonraker's the
yeah.
same situation. uh,
Moonraker is the exact same movie, basically.
yeah. I will say we should talk about the new Bond book coming out
Definitely.
because this it's kind of a sequel to this.
The book Man with the Golden Gun,
The
not
book,
this
not
movie.
the movie.
Yeah, so the new book by Anthony Horowitz.
Yeah,
Are you
we
looking
have.
it up?
I can, yeah.
Oh yeah. So it's called With a Mind to Kill, and it's set, I think, directly after Man with the Golden Gun, which
Yes.
is which is kind of weird because Colonel's son is also set there. And I think Horowitz said he's a fan of the book, Colonel's son, but he's
Mhm.
not going to do any references to it. That he's just going to do his own thing.
Yes. Yeah. I hope it doesn't contradict.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, we also had Devil May Care, which also take place around that time. I don't think it contradicted too much, but yeah. So,
I've
but the
never
story,
that.
what is interesting about this With a Mind to Kill that's gonna come out, M is dead, and
Mhm.
James Bond is now in custody because he apparently murdered him.
Hmm. That's
Yeah,
bizarre.
and then he's going after I guess, after the Russians who brainwashed him in Man with the Golden Gun.
Good.
Yeah, so it
We-
directly continues the story, basically. Gives
That's
some closure on
interesting.
this.
It's interesting that it's taken this long to go that route.
Yeah. It's kind of weird that
Mhm.
most of these authors never touched the Fleming stuff again. That was left open. Like it
Yeah.
took until like Raymond Benson to write about James Suzuki.
Yeah, we had that. We had Kingsley Ames. That that feels like a continuation of Fleming with
Definitely, but not of like the open plot points.
no. And John Gardner did John Gardner things.
Yeah, he did.
Um and it's really with the Anthony Howowitz stuff where he has the prequel to Casino Royale. He has the sequel to Goldfinger.
Mhm.
Now it's interesting. I wonder if this will be his last book.
Maybe, probably, that he's gonna finish it as this like trilogy of
Yeah,
sorts.
of just playing around in that era of Bond.
Hmm? Beginning, middle, and end.
I was trying to remember what his Goldfinger sequel was, and that was Trigger Mortis.
Yeah, Trigger Mortis.
I might pick that up soon and read the Anthony Howowitz. I haven't read Bond in a little while, so
Mhm. I recommend it. It's pretty good, except for all the Pussy Galore stuff, which is just Horowitz liked that character and wanted to bring her back and
it
doesn't
doesn't
really do
work.
anything. And
Okay,
has some stupid scenes. We
like
talked
the
about this
Stonehenge
before.
one.
Yeah. That is like the worst thing he's written, that scene specifically, but otherwise, damn solid books.
Because I mean, I'm looking at it right now. I do own Trigger Mortis. It's the only one of his that I own, so I could read that. But I need to read Spy Who Loved Me because that's our next one.
Oh, you're gonna reread the famous Ian Fleming novel, The Spy Who Loved Me.
Oh no, I remember that very well. It was a
Everybody does.
horrible, horrible fever dream.
It's a very memorable story.
Um, but I will say we need to read the what is that author's name who wrote the novelization of Spy Who Loved Me?
Christopher Wood.
Yes.
And
And
also
we need
wrote
to watch it,
Moonraker.
which will be our season finale of season 1 of Live and Let's Discuss. We'll end it on a high note. Hopefully. I
What would be
don't.
the end for season 2? Just out of curiosity.
What would be the end? Die Another Day.
Ooh,
I know.
that's rough.
Yeah, like wiping your butt with sandpaper.
Oh man.
You're so welcome. But I'm going with the US box sets of all the Bond films. And the first box set, they're broken into 3 containers, and the first set ends with Spy Who Loved Me.
Then it's up
And
to Die Another Day, and then the third one is just the Daniel Craig stuff, right?
Daniel Craig stuff and the weird other Casino Royale films.
Oh yeah, which we
Because we're
also will
going to
talk about at
tackle
some point.
we're going to tackle Never Say Never Again next season. But we'll take a little break. We'll talk about this more next episode. But anyway, hope you all enjoyed the episode, and we will see you later.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.